Before you ask, no, this video isn't about ships. Also, fair warning, this video includes spoilers for both Sonic X Shadow Generations and Sonic Movie 3, so if you haven't played or seen any of them, please click off now because I will be talking about both of them in detail. I recently watched the new Sonic Twitter takeover promoting the release of Sonic X Shadow Generations. It's always fun watching my favorite Sonic characters in more casual situations, simply answering fan questions and talking to each other like normal people. This year's Twitter takeover featured only Sonic and Shadow, which makes sense because they're the stars of Sonic X Shadow Generations. And while I normally enjoy watching these two interact, something felt off about this. Something that I've been noticing for years now, but just never really thought about it. One interaction in particular interested me.
Pumpkin asks Shadow, do you feel like you're Sonic's biggest rival? I'm not sure if I'd call Shadow my biggest rival.
What's that supposed to mean?
Well, Knuckles can be pretty tough when he's not busy guarding his island. Jet's a pain too. And don't even get me started on how stubborn Metal Sonic is. I mean, seriously, who is my true rival?
Alright, fine. Where do I rank on this list of yours?
Probably right between Zavok and Dodonpa.
I hate you.
This interaction kind of pisses me off. Sonic talks about all his rivals and where Shadow ranks among them. And Sonic has the audacity to put Shadow between Zavok and Dodonpa. Zavok, the stupid Zeddy from Lost World who just keeps fucking coming back for some reason. And Dodonpa, a stupid Tanuki who only appears in one racing game and barely even has a presence, much less a rivalry with Sonic. And yet Sonic dares to compare them to Shadow the Hedgehog, the Sonic rival. Now, you may argue that getting pissed over a tiny interaction on Twitter that has nothing to do with the franchise's story and was probably just a joke so Sonic could piss off Shadow is stupid and pointless. And yeah, fair point. But this is something we've seen multiple times now. In one of the Tails Tube episodes, Sonic says this.
So the topic for today is making amends. You know, burying the hatchet.
I don't know, buddy. We never really got along. Bombs?
And this really bothers me. They're giving off this vibe that they secretly hate each other, only teaming up or cooperating when they absolutely have to, but that's just not how I see them at all. Now, sure, I don't see them as best friends or anything, but they're characters that have immense respect for each other. Heck, if anything, they should have more respect for each other than anyone else. I mean, they're the only ones who can match the other's skill. Sure, there are characters like Metal Sonic or Jet the Hawk who have been able to keep up with Sonic, but Shadow is the only one to match and even sometimes surpass Sonic's speed and skill. This also goes the other way around, where Sonic is the only one capable of rivaling Shadow. This is best seen in Shadow's debut game, Sonic Adventure 2. In this game, Shadow and Sonic start out as rivals, feeling nothing but hate for each other and the want to best one another. They go through many fights and battles, but it always ends in a tie, showing how equal they really are. This slowly makes them respect one another, and this is most clear in the final battle between them aboard the Space Colony Ark. And here, Shadow and Sonic have a conversation about how Sonic survived his capsule's explosion after Dr. Eggman dropped him from space. And it's here where Shadow admits that Sonic is much more than he seems. I mean, he managed to perform Chaos Control with a fake emerald. Chaos Control, at least in Sonic Adventure 2, has only ever been able to be performed by Shadow. So Sonic using this technique with a fake emerald no less should make Shadow respect him for matching his abilities. Not to mention, in the final story, where Shadow finally teams up with the good guys, Sonic and Shadow both go super and defeat the final hazard. And during the fight, if you wait long enough, Shadow says this.
Sonic, I think I've discovered what the ultimate life form is. It might be you.
Now, whether this is true or not isn't important. The point is, I highly doubt Shadow would admit this to someone he hates or doesn't respect. They clearly show in SA2 that Sonic and Shadow work great as a team and have immense respect for each other. How many times have I said respect in this video? Not to mention that heavenly dap at the results screen, I mean, come on. Now, Shadow does lose his memory after SA2, but he slowly remembers everything in Shadow 05, including the fight against the Final Hazard. So you can't really make the argument that Shadow just forgot about his interactions with Sonic in SA2. Then there's games like Sonic 06 where not only do Sonic and Shadow constantly team up, but they also never have any interaction suggesting that they don't get along or don't like each other. And yeah, technically the events of Sonic 06 never really happened, but that doesn't change the fact that Sonic and Shadow have no reason to dislike each other in future games. Sure, they're like polar opposites in terms of mood and personality, but again, they should have immense respect for each other based on the feats they've accomplished. And I'm not asking for them to secretly be best friends or to even like each other's company. I'm just asking for Sega to stop pretending that they hate each other. Weirdly enough, Sonic Prime of all things handles their relationship exactly the way I want. Even though I don't really like Sonic Prime that much, I loved Sonic and Shadow's interactions. The fights and arguments between them actually happen for a reason and not just because they don't like each other. And eventually they end up teaming up and yeah, they work pretty damn well as a team. At the end, Shadow ends up saving Sonic, and judging by the way they interact, I don't think it's just because he has to, but it's because he wants to. He doesn't want Sonic to die. They may not share personalities, but again, as I've been saying throughout the video, they have immense respect for each other. So yeah, there you go, one rare W for Sonic Prime. I will make a full video on this show one day because I have a lot to say. Sonic X Shadow Generations luckily didn't have any bad interactions between these two, but that's mostly because they don't interact that much in general in this game. I actually really liked Shadow's tone towards Sonic. He seemed very calm and willing to help him after his job's done without getting upset about it. It's Sonic who tried to rush him and get him to give up the emerald right away, and even though Shadow had an advantage over Sonic with the Doom powers and all, he didn't want to abuse that power. He wants a fair fight. And lastly, Sonic 3. What can I say? Much like the movie itself, Sonic and Shadow's interactions are perfect. Similar to Sonic Adventure 2, Sonic and Shadow start out as rivals but later learn to respect each other. This movie handles this even better than Sonic Adventure 2 because they managed to make Sonic and Shadow directly relate with each other. After Shadow accidentally fucking kills Tom and sees how devastated Sonic is, he starts to feel bad. He sees Sonic's pain and it reminds him of the exact same pain he went through when Maria died. He starts seeing a part of himself in Sonic. And later, after the coolest fight ever between Super Sonic and Super Shadow, they take a moment to talk it out and they realize that they're more similar to each other than they thought. And they start showing empathy for one another. And so once again, they team up. And they even recreate the Heavenly Dap from Sonic Adventure 2. So yeah, this movie handles their relationship mostly perfectly in my eyes. So Sega, please keep going like this and not making them hate each other. Please, I beg you. Okay, thank you. And yeah, that's about it. Anyways, next video is...